Welcome to today's deep dive. I'm really excited about this one because we're digging into some source material that, quite frankly, might completely change how you view your career.
Yeah, it's a heavy hitter today. We're looking at the research behind Cal Newport's book, So Good They Can't Ignore You.
Right. And our mission for this session is pretty straightforward, but also kind of radical. We're going to completely dismantle that age-old career advice of follow your passion.
Which is going to make some people uncomfortable, I know.
Oh, definitely. But don't worry, we're going to replace it with a roadmap that actually works. A way to build a working life you genuinely love based on actual evidence.
And to start, we really have to talk about Thomas.
Yes, Thomas.
Yeah.
So picture this. Imagine waking up at like 4:30 in the morning.
This, no thanks.
Right. It's pitch black outside. The air in the room is just freezing. You're sitting on this perfectly polished hardwood floor on a meditation mat.
And your spine has to be rigidly straight.
Exactly. Absolute deafening silence. And, with total certainty that if your posture droops even a fraction of an inch, or if you start falling asleep, a hall monitor is going to walk up behind you and literally hit you with a wooden stick.
It sounds like a nightmare. It's an environment designed to strip away absolutely everything but your own internal monologue.
Yeah. And the guy sitting on that mat is Thomas. Thomas did exactly what our modern culture told him to do. He followed his ultimate passion.
He really did. He didn't just, dabble in it on the weekends. He built his entire existence around it.
Right. Thomas had degrees in philosophy and comparative religion. He became utterly convinced that Zen Buddhism was his calling.
It held all the answers to the meaning of life for him.
So he chases it all over the globe. He teaches English in South Korea, which sounds like this romantic adventure. Right?
But the reality was way darker.
Yeah. He was walking past street carts in the dead of winter, literally dodging the frozen vomit of guys who've been drinking soju all night.
Just brutal.
Yeah.
And he goes to China, Tibet, South Africa.
He even ends up doing mind-numbing data entry in London just to pay the bills.
But through all of that friction, he kept this one pristine fantasy alive. He was going to be a serious Zen monk.
Which is such a universal human impulse, isn't it? Like, maybe you listening right now don't want to be a Zen monk, but we all have our version of that daydream.
Oh, absolutely. Thomas looked at his life, saw that he was dissatisfied, and concluded that his external circumstances were the problem.
Right. He thought, if I can just align my daily life with this specific passion, my internal reality will magically transform into pure happiness.
He was waiting for a dream job to fix his soul.
So he finally gets accepted to the Zen Mountain Monastery in the Catskill Mountains.
It's the ultimate destination. He gets off a bus, walks through these massive wrought iron gates.
Approaches this towering building made of local bluestone and oak. He later said it felt like being completely starving and knowing you're about to eat the greatest meal of your life.
But then the reality sets in. The grueling wake-ups, the silent meals, the endless meditation.
And the ultimate test. Passing what they call the Mukoan.
Right, the koan, which is basically a Zen word puzzle designed to completely short-circuit your logical brain.
Yeah, I found this part of the notes so fascinating. Like, an earlier Koni he had to pass was show an immovable tree in a heavy wind.
And you don't use words to answer that.
No. Thomas just stood perfectly still and waved his hand slightly. That's a koan. But the Mukoan is the monster.
It's the bottleneck. It's the first of the 8 gates of Zen. You aren't a serious student till you pass it.
So he agonizes over this for months. He lives and breathes the Mukoan until one day he's taking a walk in this massive oak forest on the property.
He's looking at the leaves, the dirt, and suddenly it clicks.
Yes. The profound unity of nature just washes over him. He goes straight to his instructor, makes a simple wordless gesture, and he passes the gate.
He did it. He reached the absolute zenith of his lifelong passion.
This is the crescendo, right? This is where the movie ends and the triumphant music swells.
The credits should roll right here.
But they don't. Because later, that exact same Sunday afternoon, Thomas is walking back through that exact same oak forest, and he just starts weeping.
Just crying his eyes out.
Yeah. His entire fantasy is crumbling. He achieved the ultimate goal of his passion, and he realized absolutely nothing had changed.
The internal weather remained exactly the same.
He was the exact same person, same worries, same anxieties about the future that he had when he was doing data entry in London.
Following his passion to its ultimate conclusion didn't fix him.
And psychologists have a term for this, right?
Yeah, it's called the arrival fallacy. It's a very common, very dangerous psychological illusion.
We convince ourselves that reaching a specific destination, landing the dream job, marrying the perfect person, making $1 million will permanently alter our baseline level of happiness.
It's like we think our souls operate like a medical diagnosis.
Oh yeah, the X-ray analogy from the notes, I love this. When you break your arm, there's a comforting precision to it.
Right. The doctor points to the jagged white line on the film and says, there's the problem.
It's binary, broken or not. And we treat our careers the exact same way. We obsess over diagnosing our internal passions.
We want to look inward, find that glowing white line of our one true passion, and say, there it is. That's what I was born to do.
We crave that diagnostic certainty, but as Thomas found out, when it comes to career advice, that X-ray machine is fundamentally broken.
It's muddy waters.
Yeah.
Trying to diagnose a pre-existing passion is almost always a fool's errand.
And that sets the stakes for you, the listener, today. Think about your own career right now. Are you sitting in a job you tolerate, secretly waiting for a magical calling to reveal itself?
Are you delaying feeling fulfilled because you think you just haven't found the right X-ray yet?
Our mission today is to relieve you of that burden. We are going to dismantle the follow your passion myth and give you a better way.
But to do that, we first have to understand why that bad advice is so incredibly sticky. Where does it come from?
Well, you literally cannot talk about the passion hypothesis without talking about Steve Jobs.
Oh, absolutely. Specifically, his famous 2005 Stanford commencement speech.
It's iconic. He's at the podium wearing jeans and sandals under his academic robe, looking out at 23,000 hyper-ambitious Stanford grads.
And he drops this massive, generation-defining soundbite.
He says, "You've got to find what you love. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking and don't settle."
Millions of people have watched that clip. It became the ultimate stamp of approval for the passion hypothesis.
I mean, if the guy who invented the iPhone says, follow your passion, who are we to argue?
But hold on, let's look at Jobs' own life, based on the biographical notes we have.
Yeah, let's play devil's advocate here. Did he actually do what he was advising those kids to do?
Not even a little bit. Young Steve Jobs was not some tech-obsessed visionary with a burning passion for personal computing.
His passions were spiritual and artistic. He drops out of Reed College, where he was formerly studying Western history and dance,
He was basically a campus bohemian, sleeping on dorm floors.
returning Coke bottles for the 5-cent deposits just to buy food, walking 7 miles across town every Sunday to get one good meal at the Hare Krishna temple.
Then he goes to a commune. He travels to India, specifically seeking spiritual enlightenment.
He trains seriously at the Los Altos Zen Center. The guy was Thomas before Thomas was Thomas.
Exactly. And the only reason he steps into the tech world is completely accidental.
Right, he takes a night shift job at Atari, and not because he wanted to revolutionize gaming.
No, he saw an ad in the paper that literally said, have fun and make money. He just needed quick cash to fund his spiritual pursuits.
And the birth of Apple Computer. It destroys the passion narrative entirely. It wasn't born from a flash of passionate lightning.
It was a small-time, quick cash scheme.
Jobs noticed local hobbyists were into these DIY computer kits. He pitches Steve Wozniak on a really pragmatic idea. Let's design a printed circuit board.
Grand vision was to spend $25 to make a board and sell it for $50.
Jobs figured if they were lucky, they could sell 100 of them and make a quick $1,000 profit. $1,000. That was the summit of his ambition.
It was purely opportunistic. The turning point only happened because Jobs walked into the bite shop to pitch the owner, Paul Terrell.
And Terrell looks at the bare boards and says, I don't want these. But if you give me fully assembled computers, I'll pay you $500 each.
Jobs was stunned. He suddenly had to scramble to find startup capital for this massive, unexpected order.
That is how Apple started. It was a lucky break born out of a side hustle.
If young Steve Jobs had actually followed his own Stanford advice back in the 70s, if he had refused to settle, he never would have started Apple.
He probably would have ended up as a highly respected meditation teacher.
That's the fundamental issue with extracting advice from highly successful people. We retroactively apply a simplified cinematic narrative to their lives.
Did Jobs eventually become obsessively passionate about Apple? Sure, but the passion came after he stumbled into a lucky break and put in the agonizingly hard work.
The passion was the result of his success, not the cause of it.
Okay, so the Steve Jobs myth is busted. But what about the actual peer-reviewed science?
The scientific consensus on passion is brutal. It just obliterates the idea of a pre-existing calling.
Let's walk through the 3 major scientific conclusions from the sources. First one, Pre-existing, career-relevant passions are incredibly rare.
Right. There's this fascinating study by psychologist Robert J. Vallerand. He surveyed 539 Canadian university students.
Young, ambitious people.
He asked them, do you have a passion? And 84% of them said yes.
Which sounds like a win for the passion hypothesis.
Until you look at what those passions were, 96% of them were hobbies. Sports, arts, hockey, dance, skiing.
Less than 4% had any relation whatsoever to work, education, or a viable career path.
Think about the implications of that.
Right. If a career counselor tells a graduating class to follow your passion, mathematically, they are advising 96% of the room to become professional hockey players or ballerinas.
It is terrible advice. You can't match your job to a pre-existing passion if you don't actually have a relevant one.
Which leads to the second conclusion. If passion doesn't come first, where does it come from?
Amy Resniewski, a professor at Yale, did a landmark study on this. She wanted to know what predicts how someone views their work.
She categorized workers into 3 groups, right?
Yeah. Those who see it as a job to pay bills, those who see it as a career for advancement, and those who see it as a true calling central to their identity.
And she purposely studied college administrative assistants, which is brilliant.
It is, because their daily duties are nearly identical across the board. Filing, scheduling, phones.
If the passion hypothesis were true, the assistants with a calling would be the ones who, from childhood, just absolutely loved filing.
But that's not what she found at all. The strongest predictor of seeing the work as a calling was simply the number of years spent on the job.
Time on the job creates the calling. That completely flips the script.
Over time, they got better at their jobs. They built deep relationships with faculty. They realized their work kept the university running.
Passion was a side effect of time, mastery, and connection.
Which transitions perfectly into the third scientific conclusion. This is the heavyweight. Self-determination theory, or SDT.
This isn't just one study. It's a massive framework validated over 40 years.
SDT maps out the exact psychological requirements human beings need to feel intrinsically motivated.
And it argues that your brain doesn't actually care about the specific type of work you are doing.
Exactly. It cares about 3 specific psychological states. First is autonomy. Do you have control over your day?
Second is competence. Do you have the undeniable feeling that you are actually good at what you do?
And third is relatedness. Do you feel a genuine connection to other people through your work?
Autonomy, competence, relatedness. Notice what is completely missing from that 40-year framework.
Matching your work to a pre-existing passion. It's nowhere to be found.
It's irrelevant to the human brain. You can find those 3 things in almost any industry if you put in the hard work to acquire them.
Yet, despite this robust science, the passion hypothesis took over our culture. The sources trace it back to 1970.
The publication of What Color is Your Parachute? By Richard Bowles, the grandfather of all modern career advice.
If you've ever taken a personality test to figure out your major, you were living in Bowles's world.
Before 1970, the idea of mapping out your personality to demand a perfect job match was considered ridiculous. Work was work.
But Bowles introduced this seductive message. Figure out what you like, and go find a place desperately looking for someone exactly like you.
By the 2000s, the phrase "follow your passion" was showing up in print 3 times more often than in the 70s. We ran a massive societal experiment.
And the results are horrifying. A 2010 Conference Board survey showed only 45% of Americans were satisfied with their jobs.
A steady decline from 61% in 1987. And for young people, it's even worse. 64% say they are actively unhappy.
The more we obsess over finding work we love, the less we actually love our work.
The notes highlight how this creates the quarter-life crisis. Like Scott, a 27-year-old who got his perfect job in politics.
The exact field he was passionate about. But once he was in it, he found it unfulfilling because it involved difficult responsibilities and conflict.
Normal friction. But because he wore the passion goggles, he thought the friction meant he chose the wrong path, so he wants to quit.
Or Elaine, another example. She's perpetually paralyzed, bouncing from idea to idea because she's terrified of committing and missing her ultimate calling.
The passion hypothesis is an engine for anxiety.
It really is.
Now wait, let me play devil's advocate for the listener. What about Michael Jordan? Or Serena Williams?
Right, the outliers.
Or the notes mention Peter Travers, the famous film critic. He brought notebooks to the movies as a kid. He had a passion, followed it, and became the top critic. Doesn't that validate it?
It's a fair challenge, but pointing to Peter Travers is a textbook case of survivorship bias.
Meaning we only see the winners.
Yes. A microscopic fraction of the population develops a highly monetizable passion from childhood. Observing a few rare successes doesn't make it a universally effective strategy.
Trying to replicate a child prodigy's path is a recipe for disaster. I think of it like a toxic dating strategy.
Oh, how so?
The passion hypothesis is basically telling young people to sit on their couch, refuse to go on normal dates, and wait for love at first sight with a flawless soulmate to just magically appear.
And assuming that soulmate requires zero effort or compromise.
Exactly. But building a great relationship takes years of hard work, communication, and enduring boring days. You don't just find a perfect relationship, you build it.
That analogy is spot on, and it perfectly pivots us to the solution. If asking what can the world offer me is a trap, we need an alternative operating system.
And the sources have one. To understand it, we travel to Boston. The notes describe this rundown, peeling paint Victorian house.
A bluegrass frat house, they called it. Yeah. Empty Bud Light bottles, a banjo player sleeping in the foyer.
And upstairs, in a tiny monastic bedroom, we meet 24-year-old Jordan Tice, a professional acoustic guitar player.
What stands out about Jordan is his relentless, almost painful focus on output. He wasn't just casually strumming, waiting for inspiration.
He was obsessively practicing a very specific Debussy-inspired guitar lick, and not at a comfortable speed.
No, at a speed that forced him into active mental and physical strain. He was gasping for breath.
Staring past the fretboard, missing notes, getting frustrated, and immediately forcing himself to do it again.
When asked, he just shrugged and said it's a physical and mental exercise. He was planning to spend hours a day for a month just to master this one tiny technique.
He didn't care about fame or whether guitar was his true spiritual calling. He cared entirely about creating valuable output.
He embodies the Craftsman Mindset, a ruthlessly output-centric approach. Instead of asking, is this job making me happy? He asks, what value am I offering the world?
There's a brilliant connection here to a Charlie Rose interview with Steve Martin.
Oh, the secret to success advice.
Right. Rose asks Martin how he made it, and Martin gave advice most people hate hearing. Be so good they can't ignore you.
Infuriatingly simple. But Martin lived it. He spent a decade perfecting an avant-garde style of comedy with literally no punchlines.
He created massive tension without releasing it. He'd put his nose on the microphone, step back, and bow.
And it took 10 years of bombing in empty clubs and analyzing his failures until his act was undeniable.
So why does the Craftsman Mindset work? Why is being undeniable the secret weapon?
It comes down to fundamental economics, career capital theory. Let's revisit those SDT traits: creativity, impact, and control.
If you have a job with those three things, you have a dream job.
But by definition, those traits are highly rare. Entry-level jobs don't hand you immense creativity and total control. You fill out spreadsheets.
Supply and demand. If you want something rare and valuable, you need something rare and valuable to offer in return.
And that something is your skill set, your career capital.
The passion mindset tricks you into thinking you deserve rare treats just because you really want them.
But the world cares what you can provide. Look at Ira Glass, the host of This American Life.
He didn't just demand a microphone at NPR. He spent years as an underpaid tape cutter, forcing himself through what he calls the gap.
Where your taste is great, but your output is terrible. He aggressively built his audio editing skills until they were too valuable to ignore.
Or Al Merrick, the legendary surfboard shaper. He didn't just open a shop and expect an affluent beach lifestyle.
He spent years covered in fiberglass dust, obsessively tweaking millimeters of foam until pros like Kelly Slater were winning championships on his boards.
His rare skill was the capital he traded for his autonomous lifestyle.
But career capital theory also explains catastrophic failures. This is where modern courage culture gets dangerous.
Leap in the net will appear. Quit your corporate job.
Exactly. The notes give a stark warning with the story of Lisa Foyer. She was 38, miserable in corporate advertising, so she decides to follow her passion.
She takes out a home equity loan, does a 200-hour yoga certification, and starts Karma Kids Yoga.
Courage culture would applaud her for living her truth, but through the lens of career capital theory, It's a disaster.
She threw away decades of marketing capital to enter a saturated field with almost zero capital. A 200-hour certificate puts you at the bottom of the hierarchy.
And within a year, the economy tightened, studios dropped her, and she was literally texting reporters from the food stamp line.
Contrast that with Joe Duffy, also a frustrated advertising executive, but instead of fleeing, he doubled down.
He used the Craftsman Mindset to become one of the world's absolute best corporate logo designers. He designed for Sony, Coca-Cola.
He leveraged that massive capital to demand his own firm and ended up buying a 100-acre retreat in rural Wisconsin.
Two people, same initial frustration. Lisa chose passion without capital, food stamps. Joe built immense capital, 100-acre retreat.
I visualize it as a literal bank account. The passion mindset is trying to buy a multi-million-dollar mansion with a zero-balance checking account.
You have to make the deposits first.
Now, caveat time. Let's say I work in a boiler room selling scam insurance. Do I just become the best scammer?
Absolutely not. The sources outline 3 strict disqualifiers for building capital. If your job meets any of these, leave.
Number 1, zero opportunities to grow relevant skills, like pulling a lever on an assembly line.
Number 2, the work is something you believe is deeply useless or actively bad for the world. It will destroy your soul.
Number 3, you are forced to work with highly toxic people. If your boss steals your credit, your capital acquisition is blocked.
Right, so assuming you aren't in a disqualified job, how do you actually build this capital? Because just showing up for 15 years isn't enough.
Which brings us to deliberate practice. Now, most people know Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000-hour rule.
That if you put in 10,000 hours, you achieve mastery. But the research shows it's dangerously incomplete.
The notes reference Neil Charnis's study of chess players. 2 groups, both played for roughly 10,000 hours.
But the results were wildly different. One group became elite grandmasters, like Garry Kasparov.
The other group plateaued at an intermediate level. Why were half of them locked out if they put in the hours?
Because the intermediate players spent their hours just playing tournaments for fun, relying on known strategies. It was comfortable.
They were just showing up to the office.
Exactly. But the grandmasters spent 5,000 of those hours in serious study, sitting alone, studying complex boards they didn't understand, pushing past their comfort zone.
And constantly getting harsh feedback from coaches. This is the secret weapon for knowledge workers.
Chess and music have built-in training regimens. But an office job, you're just handed a laptop.
If you can apply serious study, deliberate practice to your standard office job, you rocket past your peers because no one else is doing it.
The sources break this into 5 specific steps. Step 1, decide your capital market. Are you in a winner-take-all or an auction market?
A winner-take-all market is ruthless. Only one type of capital matters, like TV writing. If your script isn't phenomenal, nothing else saves you.
Contrast that with an auction market, like clean tech venture capital. You need a unique mix of skills, environmental science, business acumen, networking.
Step 2, identify your specific capital type by finding open gates. Existing advantages like a Stanford degree or knowing basic Python.
Step 3, define good. You need clear, unambiguous goals. Not, I want to be better, but I need to master advanced SQL.
Step 4 is the painful one. Stretch and destroy.
This is where everyone quits.
You have to actively push past comfort. It should feel like a physical strain on your brain tissue. And the destroy part means embracing ego-destroying feedback.
If you think your rough draft is perfect, you aren't growing. Hand it to someone smarter and let them tear it apart.
Step 5, be patient. Ignore the shiny object syndrome of starting a new side hustle. Stay the course.
We see this perfectly with Alex Berger, a highly successful TV writer. His background was in competitive college debate,
where scoring is mathematically rigorous and feedback is brutal.
He applied that intensity to Hollywood. He knew it was a winner-take-all market for scripts.
While working an exhausting assistant job, he was writing 3 or 4 scripts at night, stretching his cognitive limits until 3 a.m.
And he sought out the destroy phase. He invited professionals to humiliate him and rip his scripts apart until his capital was undeniable.
For an option market example, look at Mike Jackson, the Cleanatech VC. He tracks his entire workday in quarter-hour increments on a spreadsheet.
Sounds neurotic, but it ensures his focus is strictly on high-leverage, serious study. He limits email to 90 minutes a day.
The rest is forcefully directed toward stretching his abilities. Deliberate practice is exactly like going to the gym.
Oh, good analogy.
If you lift the same 10-pound dumbbells every day for 5 years, your muscles never grow. Showing up and answering emails is lifting 10-pound weights. You need progressive overload.
You have to constantly increase the cognitive difficulty. But what if you misidentify your market in step one? What if you're in the wrong gym?
The bloggers example from the notes? New writers treat blogging like an auction market, obsessing over SEO and web design.
Deliberate practice on font choices.
Exactly. But advice blogging is a winner-take-all market. The only capital that matters is the profound quality of the writing.
If your writing is mediocre, no SEO trickery will save you. You have to know your market to know which way to upgrade.
Okay, let's fast forward. We've endured the brain-straining practice. We have a massive bank account of career capital. What do we buy with it?
The ultimate dream job elixir. Control or autonomy.
The sources take us to Red Fire Farm in Massachusetts to illustrate this. Ryan and Sarah Voiland run a highly successful organic farm with 1,300 subscribers.
And it's backbreaking labor. Weather, pests, broken tractors. But their groupies love them because of the absolute control they have over their existence.
They dictate their own terms. If they want to host a festival, they do it. This is backed by corporate data too, right? ROW environments.
Results-only work environments, like at Best Buy or Gap. Management stops tracking time. No results, no job.
And what happened? Engagement skyrocketed and voluntary turnover plummeted by up to 90%.
Control really is the elixir.
Yeah.
But acquiring it is highly dangerous. They're two deadly control traps.
Trap 1. Control without capital. This is Jane, the lifestyle designer who dropped out of college to travel the globe by unicycle and dog sled.
Funded by a blog that had 3 posts in 9 months.
Zero career capital. She demanded control before she could afford it and predictably ended up totally broke, abandoning the unicycle plan.
Which leads to trap 2, employer resistance. This happens when you do have the capital, but when you try to cash it in for control, your employer fights you.
Because your control doesn't benefit their bottom line. Look at Lulu, the elite QA software engineer who automated her own job.
She demanded a 30-hour work week and later a 3-month uncontactable leave, eventually becoming a freelancer who flew planes on Fridays.
And her employers fought her tooth and nail. They tried to force her into executive roles, offering more money to prevent her from gaining autonomy.
We see it in medicine, too. Lewis, the medical resident who wanted 2 years off to build a startup.
He was suffocating under bureaucracy. There's that crazy story of him standing in the ER with a stabbing victim's heart in his hands. And a technician refused to give him blood because the patient wasn't formally registered. Absolute madness.
When Lewis asked for time off, the hospital fought him aggressively because he was too valuable a resident to lose.
It's an escape velocity analogy. Trap 1, the unicycle, is trying to fly to space without building a rocket. You crash.
Trap 2 is Earth's gravity. You built the rocket, but your employer gravity pulls you back with golden handcuffs.
So how do you navigate these traps? How do you know if you have enough fuel to break gravity?
Derek Sivers introduces the law of financial viability. He says, do what people are willing to pay for.
Which sounds like a sellout mentality at first.
But money is just a neutral indicator of value. When Ryan wanted to start his farm, he got a massive loan approved. The bank essentially said, we are willing to pay for this.
It proved he had the capital, but what if my goal isn't to be rich? What if I want to write obscure poetry or start a nonprofit?
Sivers isn't saying chase wealth. He gave away $22 million. He uses financial viability purely as a scientific instrument, a dipstick to check your oil.
If no one will give your nonprofit a single dollar, the market is telling you that you don't have the capital yet. It protects you from crashing.
Exactly. So control dictates how you work, but what dictates why you work?
The final piece, the unifying power of mission. Thinking small to act big.
A mission is the pinnacle of a great career, but trying to grab one too early will destroy it.
Look at Party Sabeti at Harvard. Not your typical stressed-out academic. She plays in a rock band, runs a volleyball team, and radiates joy.
Her joy comes from her mission, using complex algorithms to find genetic resistance to ancient diseases like Lassa fever.
But the key is when she found this mission. This connects to Stephen Johnson's adjacent possible.
Right. Why were sunspots and oxygen discovered by multiple people simultaneously? Because innovations are like rooms in a house.
You can only open the door to the next room, the adjacent possible, once you reach the cutting edge of the current room.
You can't invent the microwave in the Bronze Age, and you can't see your life's mission until you reach the cutting edge of your field.
This is why patience is critical. Sarah, the grad student, had too many interests and mastered nothing. Jane had zero experience.
Parties just followed her capital: math, medicine, genetics. She spent years thinking small and doing tedious, deliberate practice.
It wasn't until she had a breakthrough algorithm published in Nature magazine that she saw the adjacent possible. Only then did she commit to her mission.
It's like the fog of war in a video game. You spawn in, and the map is blacked out.
You have to do the tedious work of walking to the perimeter to gain capital before the map reveals the hidden treasures.
But people fear that if they wait 10 years, they'll lose their drive.
Won't you burn out without passion fueling you?
No, because the pursuit of mastery provides its own internal drive. The satisfaction of becoming undeniably good sustains you until the mission crystallizes.
So final act, you've put in the 10,000 hours, the fog has lifted, you see your mission. How do you launch it without crashing your career?
You use little bets. Take Kirk French, an archaeologist who wanted to popularize his field on TV.
He didn't just quit and blindly pitch the Discovery Channel.
He used Peter Sims's methodology, like Chris Rock taking a yellow legal pad to a tiny 50-person comedy club to bomb and test small jokes.
Kirk made tiny bets. He digitized an old documentary, he shot sample footage, then he investigated a crazy voicemail about Knights Templar treasure.
Which turned out to be a pile of deer bones. But he edited it into a cheap video called The Armchair Archaeologist.
And that small bet caught the eye of a production company and launched his hit show, American Treasures.
But the bets must follow the law of remarkability. We see this with Giles Bowkett, a miserable Ruby programmer at an investment bank.
He read Seth Godin's Purple Cow. A brown cow is boring. A bright purple cow compels people to stop and talk about it.
The project must be intrinsically remarkable and launched in a venue that supports remarking.
Giles didn't write a standard tool. He created an AI that wrote and played its own dance techno music.
A massive purple cow. And he took it on tour specifically to the open source software community, which is designed to spread the word.
He became a rock star overnight. It's like sending out cheap scout ships before risking your whole armada.
But what if you're in a boring field, like an accountant?
Right, how do you make a spreadsheet of purple cow?
Remarkability is relative to your field's boundaries. A macro program that saves small businesses thousands in taxes, released on a niche CPA forum, is a massive purple cow to them.
Wow. We have covered an incredible amount of ground today. Our mission was to dismantle, follow your passion.
And looking at the wreckage of Steve Jobs' early career and Thomas's tears, I think we did.
If you're listening, take a deep breath. You no longer need to stress about finding your one true calling. The new roadmap is simpler, though it takes sweat.
Build career capital through deliberate practice. Use it to buy control, verified by financial viability.
And when you hit the cutting edge, use little bets and remarkability to launch your mission.
It shifts you from consumer to producer. What value can you offer the world?
Exactly. I want to leave you with a provocative thought. Think about the exact tasks you are avoiding right now. The tedious spreadsheet, the difficult conversation.
The things that feel too hard.
What if that specific mental friction isn't a sign you're on the wrong path? What if it's the literal proof you are standing on the gold mine of your future career capital?
Leaning into that discomfort today is the currency to buy your freedom tomorrow. It reframes the struggle entirely.
It really does. That X-ray machine is working perfectly now, pointing right at the hard work on your desk. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. See you next time.